俺が食い止める。俺が食い止める。さっさと気をためろ。死ぬなよ、ベジータ。
Alright, what's going on, you fam? Raiyuden here. Today I wanted to do a little bit of a discussion piece and kind of talk about a topic that I'm sure a lot of you've heard about over on Twitter, which by the way, be sure to follow me there, about the current matchmaking system that Legends has implemented. I'm sure you guys have seen that they want to make sure that you fight against players of similar skill, just to keep things more challenging. Basically skill-based matchmaking, but I think the results are not in the favor of what the developers wanted. So I figure why not do a little small talk about why we're not happy with it, why the community isn't happy about it, and what it is and what they should do going forward, because I do feel this change is going to negatively impact the longevity of the game. So I think a good place to start is, what is SBMM? It basically stands for skill-based matchmaking. It's when the game takes a number of different factors, different analytics tied to you, and pairs you against players of similar numbers to make sure that the matchup is a little bit even. You may know that Call of Duty has skill-based matchmaking as well, and in that system they use things like your KD ratio, your kill-death ratio, your win-loss ratio, your score per minute, to put you in a lobby of players with similar numbers so that it's an even Team A versus Team B. Try to keep things fair and valid, right? Now over in Legends, they use three things. They're going to use your win rate percentage, your current win streak, and your RP in order to figure out who you should be paired against. Now, I think that skill-based matchmaking in a ranked setting is fine, especially for those where balance is always maintained. The issue is, this is a gacha game, and it is in the very nature of a gacha game to not have balance. A gacha game will never ever be balanced. The game doesn't want it to be. You make this imbalance so that you can sell the scale to being in your favor. That's the whole point. That's how the game works. They always need to release a character that is just naturally better than everything else in order to keep making money. That's how power creep works. It's just the nature of these games. Now, the problem with this change is it basically snuffs out any potential chance of team creativity. It means that with the very nature that gacha is, you will only ever be fighting the best units in the entire game. That is it. You wanting to go into PvP with just some run-out-the-mill random unit will never work anymore, because you're only going to be paired against players that are using the best in the game. That's the problem. SBMM and gacha do not work together, and I think a lot of you have experienced this, where even when the PvP reset happens, usually when things start off fresh, this is the best time to run some random team or try something new. You still fight the best teams in the game. That's where SBMM does not make sense for a gacha game. It just doesn't align with the nature of how this works. If this was a balanced game with balance changes and everyone had access to the characters, then I think it's a little bit acceptable. But in a gacha game that thrives off of having no balance whatsoever to sell a solution, it has no place being in the game. It really doesn't make any sense, and I'm sure a lot of you have experienced it as well. You just fight the same two units every day, all the time. There's no creativity, there's no freedom. It's the exact same units every single time. Now, I already know that there's going to be some people saying, oh, this is a great change, because this means that whales are only ever going to fight other whales. This is fantastic. Whales are just upset that they're only going to be fighting other people with whaled out teams. They're just mad that they have to actually put effort into the game. That's actually not true at all. I'm going to cook up a scenario for you. We're going to have Timmy on the left, who has a 65% win rate. 55% of it comes from the fact that Timmy takes the time out of his day to figure out how characters work, makes good teams. He's invested in good characters. He knows what he's doing, completely free to play. 55% of it comes from him being good at the game. Whatever skill you really think Legends has, quote unquote skill, 55% of it is because of Timmy's skill. The last 10% is because he runs future. He just happens to have a tag that always gets buffed up. He runs into GT 10% of the time, so his win rate is 65%. 55% of it because he's good, 10% of it because his team is good, right? Then we're gonna have, let's say, Bob on the right. This guy also has a 65% win rate. 55% of it for him comes from the fact that he maxes out every single new unit in the game. Everything is 14 stars, and he only uses the best units in the game. When there's a new number 1, he has the new number 1 maxed out, fully arts boosted, always, always, always. His fun for this game is to always win and squish out everybody else, right? The other 10% is just from his skill. 2 people, both 65% win rate for 2 vastly different reasons. The game does not know the difference between the 2. They just see that Jimmy and Bob have 65% win rate, so I'm going to pair them against each other. The game doesn't know what skill is. It just sees some basic numbers. So for the players that think that, oh, this means whales will fight other whales, no. This means everybody fights more whales, and everyone fights whales with the best teams. So basically, nobody wins with this change. As a matter of fact, it is a colossal loss to everybody. Nobody wins with this change. It's actually not a good change at all. Now, the next point I think we're going to see is people will say, well, you're going into PvP in the ranked mode. Ranked by default means that you're fighting off against people for ELO or RP. There should be SBMM in any ranked setting. And normally I would agree with you. I'm all for it. I think it makes sense. But not in a gacha game. As I said earlier, the game by default will never have any semblance of balance. It just does not exist. In a setting where balance is actually pushed and that all characters have a fighting opportunity, then I would agree with you that SBMM makes sense, so that the actual factors in defining your matchmaking is your skill. If everyone had the exact same thing, exact same scenario, and everyone was on the same playing field, then the deciding factors would be your skill. But not in a gacha game. It is in the nature of a gacha to not have any balance, and if you want to tip the scales into your favor, they want you to buy it. AKA, you probably have a higher win rate if you have the better units with higher stars. So if you're somebody that is completely free to play and you're really dedicated to one tag, and you spend your time being really skilled at the game and you put no money into it, you're only going to fight more whales with the similar win rate. The game will not know if the win rate from the other players are coming from their teams or from the fact that they're good enough to earn that same win rate. For you, it's all from your skill. For them, it's all from their team. Basically, everybody just fights more whales. So in the end, it's a net loss for everybody, and I think the fatigue is already being felt by everybody. I know it is for me. This change has taken away any team creativity. You cannot enjoy any random unit in the game anymore unless they fare well against the current meta units. Purple Cell does fine, the new Namagoku does fine, but there's no opportunity to try out, say, free characters. There's no opportunity to try out older characters from 6 months ago just because they don't stand a torch to the new modern characters. So outside of just wanting to make sure that the matchmaking is fair, team creativity, team diversity, and just the opportunity to take this game casually and just enjoy yourself has been taken away entirely. Even Treasure Battle, you only fight whaled out teams as well, so there's almost no room for anyone to try out anything that isn't the best in the entire game, and that is a colossal issue because I think PvP is one of the most defining factors and the highest and strongest points that Legends has. Story is great, PvE sucks. There's no good PvE. PvP is this shining light of this game, and when that turns out to be something very bad, you're in a world of hurt. That is a ton of trouble for the entire game. And then just finally, this is my own personal issue with the game right now, they brought back bots. Why did they have to bring back bots? I'm of the opinion that after Battle Rank 50, no more bots. It shouldn't be battle rank 60 and above that you're only fighting humans. Most of the player base is past battle rank 50. I shouldn't have to fight bots anymore. With the change that they made, it is in the nature of the change that they made that you will lose. It will happen. This game is a giant RNG fest coin toss under the guise of a skill-based game. There's very little skill actually involved in Legends. It's just a firm understanding of mechanics and units and timing. That's it. There's no actual skill involved, so you will lose. It will happen. And you are then subjected to the awful experience of fighting bots 2 or 3 times. Just a gigantic waste of time. I don't think anybody's happy about that. It's just such a miserable experience. This is the exact same scenario that happens every single time. You go into PvP reset happens. You win 2 or 3 games. You're doing a great job. You're having a great start. You're having a good time. You come across somebody that has 14-star everything. Let's say you ran into Bob. You got 14-star everything. Luck was on his side. He guessed your rush. He hit you with 2. You got a PV when it mattered most. He just happened to win. It's just the way it is. It's just a phone game. Now the game decides to punish you with a bot. And the worst part is, sometimes you don't run into just one bot. You run into 2 or 3. And even if you win, you run into bots. So everything about the change that they just made is bad. There are no redeeming qualities of this change. No team creativity, no team diversity, no breathing room for trying anything different, and nobody fights against players of similar skill. They just fight more wailed out teams. So nobody wins in this scenario. Nobody. So these are my thoughts on it. I think it is in the best interest of the developers to revert their change, or if anything, make the response to the feedback far more rapid, because one season has already exhausted everyone's desire to play PvP. It is a barren wasteland right now. And I don't think the game has the luxury of waiting 2, 3, 4 seasons to get it right when players are already done with it. I know I'm already done with it. I've never felt so negative towards the game. I've played this game for well over 5 years. There's only 2 or 3 instances where I never wanted to touch it again. One of them is right now with these changes. I don't mind fighting against other whales. I get it. It's completely fine. But when I want to try something a little bit different, or if I want to see what this new free character is all about, I can't. I can't have fun. Part of the fun is supposed to be play whatever you want, do whatever you want. How cool is it to, I got Demon King Piccolo fighting with MUI? This will never happen in the anime, but he's my favorite villain. That's my favorite hero. I can have him side by side. Not anymore. You can't. You're just going to run into Bob with his 14-star teams. So those are my thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. I didn't want to drag this on for too long, but Gacha and SBMM don't mix. Gacha and PvP already don't mix. This just adds another variable that makes it even worse. Nothing blends, nothing mix. I don't think this is a good change. I think the developers should quickly revert it, or if anything, really tighten the factors for making this make a little more sense, because I don't think the community is happy. I know I'm not happy. I see the comments all the time in the videos, over on Twitter as well. A lot of players saying they just quit or put it down. It's not fun. Goresh made a Twitter poll and he said, hey, I want to know what your thoughts are on PvP right now. And an overwhelming majority have either stopped playing entirely or play PvP significantly less. If that doesn't tell you something is wrong, I don't know what will. So you let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are. But yeah, hopefully we see some change. And until next time, guys, peace.